Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's lesson. I'm very excited to be with you again. Now, today we're going to apply what we learned yesterday about open-ended questions. This is part 2. I'm Mrs. Swart. I'll be taking this lesson. Just a reminder, when we answer open-ended questions, those are things like not simply a yes or a no. I agree, I disagree. You have to say more. They usually ask you to substantiate your response or your answer, to justify it, to reason or motivate it. And it's usually phrased as a statement which requires a longer response. You'll remember that. And then just a reminder, remember what I told you, that your opinion can be wrong because it has to be made on what you've read in context of this passage. So please remember that as scary as that appears, it can be wrong. The types of questions are things like, how does the metaphor affect your understanding? What do you think about something? Do you think something? Do you agree? Do you disagree? In your view or in your opinion, and remember, opinion can be incorrect, depends on the opinion you form from what you have seen and what you've read and commenting on something. Now, yesterday I told you to make sure you know the story of the 3 little pigs, but for the sake of this quiz, I'm going to have to give you the content just a little bit. So let's have a look. It's about the 3 little pigs. The 3 pigs left home together and decided to build a house each. Piggy 1 built a house of straw. Piggy 2 built a house of wood. Piggy 3 built a house of bricks. The big, it should be big and bad wolf, was jealous and hungry and decided to destroy their houses. On Monday, he blew down the straw house. On Tuesday, he blew down the wooden house. Piggies 1 and 2 ran to their brother and moved into the brick house with him. On Wednesday, the wolf tried to blow down the brick house. He failed at this and tried to catch the piggies by climbing down the chimney. The piggies knew Wolf would try this and had a big pot of boiling water waiting for him. The wolf fell into the pot, let out a loud screech, bolted off, and was never seen again. Now remember, you have a danger here of thinking that because you know the story, that you have to fill in all the gaps with that. So be very careful. Remember what I told you before about gardening. If you're a gardener, you will know more about gardening. So whatever the content of a passage is, if it's about gardening, you will know more. But they're not asking you about all of that. The questions you will have to derive from what you've been given. And there will be references to paragraphs. Refer to paragraph 1. Refer to paragraph 2. Refer to lines 1 and 2 or whatever. And then you go back and you read those lines. I want you to remember that you might have to agree and disagree. So there could be a mixed response where you say, I agree with this, but I disagree with that. So you could use words like however, things like that. So let's look at this. For instance, the statement, Monday was the worst day for Piggy 1. Do you agree with the statement? Justify your response. What happened on Monday 1? Piggy 1's house was blown down. Was it the worst day? So you might say, I agree it was the worst day for Piggy 1 because his house was blown down. However, he was fortunate enough to make it to his brother's house where he could be safe, so he got away from the wolf. So you see there we have both agree and disagree. It won't work with every single response, so don't think you can apply it to everything, but it is possible. Now, at the end of this, we're going to do a quiz. And the quiz was a little bit tricky because I had to ask you questions and then I had to supply you with possible responses. Because if we just sorry, I just want to take a look here because it appears someone's mic is on. Okay, it's sorted out. So if there was a word missing, you wouldn't be able to respond. So what we're going to do is I'm supplying you with possible responses, but you will see that the ones that are correct are the only ones that can be correct. Some of them are haven't, if we say quantify, it's a fancy word for saying haven't proven to us why you say what you say or why it is agree or disagree. Now, this text as well, sport unites people by allowing them to see past racial lines through their shared passions and desires. It allows individuals from different racial backgrounds, but who support the same team to bond over a shared interest and common passion. And then you would get something like, do you agree with the statement, and justify your response. So yeah, what you're going to have to do then is look at the statement. Sports bonds all people. You might agree and say, yes, it does, because it unites people. It gets them to see past racial lines. But does it unite all people, or does it only unite sport people? So someone else would say, I disagree, because sport only unites people who are interested in the same thing, who are interested in sport. So you'll have to look, you have to form your opinion from what is said. So you see how tricky it is. I just put in all and it changes the argument. You would not be wrong if you were to say, if you were to argue your point and say it unites people, it gets them to look past racial lines, it gets people to see their shared interest, their common passion, things like that. But you won't necessarily be lifting from everything. People can overcome their differences. Do you agree or do you disagree? It could be, yes, people can overcome their differences, but why? Why would you say that? It's because then they are seeing eye to eye. People are sharing in the same passion, they're sharing in sport, they're sharing in the same interest. So they have the same interest, and it means that they don't see anything else. They only see what they all enjoy. So look at it, you see, it can be pretty tricky because you have to argue your point without just saying, yes, I agree. Yes, I agree isn't enough. No, I don't agree isn't enough. You have to argue your point. People have nothing in common. Do you agree with that? Well, some of you will say it's about sport. And these people would have nothing in common if they didn't have the sport in common, or you would say, I agree, they have nothing in common. However, their interest in the same sport means that they have that in common. And you would then, I use this specific passage because I wanted you to see that there are some tricks to the trade, so to speak. If we're not speaking about sport as a common denominator here, it means that you will not have something in common with this other person. Then only people interested in sport can overcome their differences. Do you think that's true? Or do you think that everyone can overcome their differences? You would be able to say, possibly, remember, these are suggestions, you might argue differently. And if your argument can convince me, then I would accept it. I'd have to accept it. So only people interested in sport can overcome their difference. I would disagree because it's not just people interested in sport that can overcome their differences. However, the passage tells us that it's people who are interested in the same sporting codes, people who share this bond, people who share this passion and this interest. They are the ones, yeah, who can overcome their differences. So in context, in other words, with what we've been given, this context is about sport. And here we are saying only people interested in sport. However, that is just in context here. We know that there are different things possible, but don't go too wide unless you can argue your point. Because this tells us it allows individuals from different racial backgrounds to support each other. They have a common interest and a common passion. So it's possible that other people who have a common interest in something else would also be able to overcome their differences. So if we have something in common, yes, we could all overcome our differences. I just wanted you to get an idea of how to approach some of these questions that you see. I couldn't just give a simple agree or disagree, a yes or a no. I had to say a lot more. So now you are going to do the quiz. Practice makes perfect. I've given quite a few sentences, and for each statement, there is a correct sentence. Please go and complete this and do your very best. Read carefully before you select so that you're sure that you get this right. There's also a QR code that you can use to get to the correct quiz, and make sure that you finish it. Good luck with the quiz, and I'm looking forward to seeing your responses. I was very excited to see how many of you responded the other day. Have a wonderful day.